Hey everyone, and we are back with another episode of The Breakdown. While we wait for everyone to join, welcome. This is my new IG Live series, and it's where we talk about big topics and make them simple. So today, we're going to talk about the incredible work of Georgia's Strategic Alliance for the New Directions and Unified Policies, also known as Georgia Stand Up, a think and action tank for working communities in Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia Stand Up organizes and educates communities about issues related to labor unions, transit equity, affordable housing, and economic development. So I'm really excited today to have joining me Destiny Lynn Brown-Collins, an Atlanta transplant from Buffalo, New York. A recent graduate of Georgia State University, Destiny currently serves as a community organizer for Georgia Stand Up and is incredibly organized in working on building partnerships and developing multi-generational leaders throughout Georgia to foster civic engagement and maximize voter participation. So, Destiny, if you're on, go ahead and send me a request. And here we have her. With the voter registration deadline in Georgia next Monday, December 7th, we're doing all we can to educate people about the importance of voting. Hi, Destiny. We're excited to have you on. I was just letting everyone know that next Monday, December 7th, is the deadline for registration in Georgia, and we're going to let them know about all the deadlines and about the two critically important Senate runoff races that we have going on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into activism?
Absolutely. So hi, everybody. My name is Destiny Lynn Brown-Collins, as Caitlin mentioned before, and I'm super excited to be here with you all tonight to just talk about what's happening and the importance of it. So kind of what got me into activism was probably like my sophomore, junior year of college. I started off as like a marketing major, and then I was just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So I kind of went through some, as you should. I changed my major a couple of times, but one professor that really stuck with me when I changed my major to political science was Dr. Laura Hastings. So shout out to her. She was my international relations professor, and just getting an understanding of like policy and government internationally, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I really want to do peacekeeping. But before I was like, okay, before you can go and like save the world, like save your community first and understand what's happening in your community. And then as I kind of just transitioned a little bit more, as I was getting closer to graduation, I was really excited to get this internship. I interned my last 2 months before I graduated in December with Georgia Stand Up. And so they were this local nonprofit, and they were just helping people in the community that looked like me. They were just helping children, older adults, not only just with like political activism, but every day when it comes to housing, when it comes to transit equity, when it comes to education and labor unions. And we're like, oh, I didn't even think like this is something that needs to happen. And so just being able to work with them, that's like what really pushed me over the edge. And I was like, okay, I definitely have an outlet now to help my community.
That's amazing. And I'm so happy we have someone like you working in there and just helping make the world a better place. So thank you. And I'm glad you're passionate about it. So we are literally just 5 weeks away from arguably the most important Senate race of our lifetime. So I have to ask, why is it super important to vote in this election? And what do you think people should be aware of about what's at stake in this election?
So it's really important to vote in this election because this is an election that is going to affect everyone, from Georgia to Maine to North Dakota to California, Washington to Arizona, New Mexico, like literally the entire United States. And with this election, so many things are at stake when it comes to students. So like I said, I'm a recent college graduate. I know there are a lot of recent college grads out there, or just students who are still in school. So when it comes to like loans, lessening or erasing or eradicating student loans. When it comes to COVID protections, what things do we need to happen in that sense? When it comes to healthcare, when it comes to everyday things that affect you and I, so we can make sure that we have a healthy environment for ourselves and our families and our friends and our communities. That's what it comes down to. And I really, really want people, and especially Georgians, to understand that, our work is not done yet. I know Georgia has been in a constant election cycle, literally probably been pushing and getting people together, especially like the whole month of October, which is like a huge get out to vote month, not only for our organization, but for other grassroots organizations throughout our entire state. And, after the general election, we're like, okay, maybe like now we can kind of have like a deep breath, and then we're like, oh, just kidding, like we have the runoff elections. So we want people to have that same excitement and that same fire that they had when they were going to the polls, doing early voting for the presidential election, having that same fire and like tenacity to get back to the polls again for this upcoming runoff election. And understand this, especially for Georgians, this is going to affect our day to day, not even just for the rest of the country. These are two potential people that we're going to vote in. Those are going to be two potential senators, and they're Georgians that are going to, hey, this is what's going to happen for the state of Georgia. So we want to make sure that our voices are heard, and we want to make sure that people we're electing have our best interests at heart.
Along with that, can I just ask, like, where you find your information to figure out what these senators are running for, like what is driving them? And
So honestly, go on their websites. That's the biggest thing. If you want to find out about somebody, follow them. You can follow like their Instagrams. And so I think that's a really cool like age I think we're in now of we can actually follow like these people that we've always heard about, or like these people in really high places. And then also like being in your community, you would be surprised how much you hear when you are actively involved within your community, whether that is you show up to your neighborhood planning unit meetings, whether that means you show up to your city council meetings, just understanding what happens. Because yes, we're voting for congressional seats, but we have to understand like how congressional seats tie into what's happening in the local areas, what's happening in local government. So that's something that's really, really important. So as long as you're remaining active, you can follow organizations like Georgia Stand Up. You can follow organizations like New Georgia Project, People's Agenda, HBCU Green Fund. There's so many organizations out there that have the information for you. But definitely, if you want the primary source, go on to each of the candidates' websites. And it's a really simple tab. It's just like, our policies or their agenda, and go through and read through each policy. Be like, okay, I like that so-and-so does this. I can definitely, relate to this. And that's something that I want to vote for. And that's something that I want to add into my community.
thank you for that. I think that's super important to get involved in the community and have conversations with people, because right now I feel like there's such a disconnect with conversations having, and it's so important because you learn something new every single day and you can take points whichever side you believe in. So I think all the conversations you can have, the better. So for people that live in Georgia or know someone in Georgia or just want to help, how can we influence this important election, and what are some concrete things that people can do today?
So start off with our Georgians. We need you all. I know you guys are probably getting text messages from so-and-so like, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm with, X, Y, and Z organization. We want to make sure that you are out here ready to vote. Please, please, please be so kind to these people, because there's an actual person on the other side of the phone. But we want to make sure that you all are almost kind of like phone banking or text banking throughout your community and throughout your friends. So find 5 friends, say, hey, y'all. I hope you guys understand December 7th is the last day for voter registration. Make sure you are registered to vote. If you missed out on the November 3rd election, go make sure that you are registered to vote. And then we just want to make sure that people understand what's going on. So yes, you probably hear organizations all around just like, hey, go vote, go vote, go vote. Like, this is why you need to go vote. But also, before you go vote, make sure you are educated on what you are voting about. Make sure you're educated on who you're voting for. Understand the position in which that person is running for, and then understand, okay, with that position, these are the duties that they need to fulfill within the position. And we want to make sure that whoever you vote for, they fulfill those duties. So you want to do phone banking. You just want to talk to people. Another huge thing is social media activism. People, that helps so much. If you just repost a story, or if you just repost a picture on your actual page, if you retweet something, the amount of like the reach that is out there is insane. For all of our out-of-state people and that want to help Georgia, we need the help. Truly, we do. We're so excited, and we're really happy to have you all. So one huge thing that you can do is continue to donate to organizations like Georgia Stand Up or all other grassroots organizations, because when you guys are donating to us, that allows us to get supplies out faster for communities. That allows us to get like placards or door hangers that give people all the dates that they need to know about, that give people information on, hey, if you're having a problem at the polls, this is the number that you need to call. And you all have seen probably all throughout the country what happens in Georgia at times. Sometimes when we are at polling locations, people are standing in line for hours. So when you all are donating to these organizations, that allows us to buy water, snacks, granola bars, chairs, phone chargers, anything to make sure that people are as comfortable as possible while they're in line exercising the right to vote.
That's awesome. And I know we're talking about the deadlines for registration being the 7th of December. So I also talk a lot about voter suppression. So what are some of the voter suppression efforts currently happening in Georgia right now?
So some things that, and voter suppression has many different faces. And so I don't want people to think like, oh, you know, if a polling location is down, like that's just the only form of voter suppression. It could be machines, of course, machines are down, or it could be the printers now don't have enough paper. So then that means they have to close down this polling location. Voter suppression can also look like people standing in super long lines for 8+ hours to make sure that they go, you know, just to exercise their right to vote. Another huge thing for the state of Georgia, unlike other states that allow same-day registration for you to go vote, Georgia does not allow that. So that's why we're so heavy on like December 7th. Like if you haven't had an opportunity to go vote, make sure you're registered by December 7th, because that's the cutoff. And then another huge thing is exact ID match. So let's say you have a hyphen in your name, like I do. For my last name, I have a hyphen. If I didn't, when I went to go register to vote, and if I didn't add that hyphen in there on my voter registration card, and I just left a blank space and then just started the second part of my last name, and then I went to go the day of voting, thinking like, oh, I'm good, I'm registered, like, hi, here's my license, like, you know, let me go ahead, thank you. They can literally like, unfortunately, no, like you're not this person, but you're like, it's literally, it's me. Look at it, we're the same person. So that is another huge thing that is happening. Some other things that may happen and that we've seen happen from time to time is when you go onto when you go onto your voter page and you log in and you see like, oh, this is the address of my polling location. When you get there, some polling locations can shut down and they don't let you know ahead of time. And so then when you may not have transportation to get from point A to point B, or you may rely on public transportation to get to where you need to go. And especially if you are in Georgia, everything is so spread out. Literally, everything is so spread out. So that can also hinder people from going to vote. But a lot of things that organizations like Stand Up and so many other grassroots organizations are doing, we're making sure we combat that. So we are constantly checking polling locations for counties. So I know the main counties that Georgia Stand Up focuses on is Cobb, Clayton, DeKalb, Fulton, Fayette, Henry, and Rockdale. Who else am I missing? Oh, I'm sorry, y'all, if I'm missing any of your counties, my bad. But we focus on those counties. But then, like, you know, in our name, Georgia Stands Up. We want to make sure that we're focusing on Georgia, okay? So we have some, we actually have some voting canvassers and actually getting people registered to vote. They're down there in Savannah getting Chatham County ready. We have like sister organizations or coalitions in Albany, Macon. We want to make sure that the whole state of Georgia is covered. So that is one thing that we do. We also do our phone banking and text banking, so we have access to all 159 counties, so people can get a call. Hey, my name is so and so on the other line. You know, I'm just calling, one, to check in, see how you're doing. Of course, you know, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So that is another kind of battle that we're fighting. So you just want to make sure that you're checking in on people, giving like a friendly hello. And then also, are you registered to vote? Do you need help kind of like setting up anything, or do you need help kind of getting those next steps? So those are some ways that, you know, grassroots organizations across the state are fighting voter suppression.
Thank you so much. So everyone, did you hear that? Georgia Stand Up is letting you know where you need to go to the polls and which ones are open. So make sure you stay up to date on that. And another question I have for you is, what do you think people can do to change the mind of those that are still skeptical of voting? Because I know, like, I remember I voted for the first time this year and I was so
Oh,
skeptical. That's the reason why I probably didn't vote before, because I'm like, our vote doesn't matter, right? So why should I be there? So what is something we can do to change their minds?
um, honestly, if we just want to run it back to November 7th and just remember, like, looking at the numbers of all day, like CNN, I know everybody had to be glued to CNN probably for those 4 days of just like what's happening. And then just seeing the tallies go up and you just see just how like thin of a margin these votes are happening. Like your vote, when I say your vote matters and your vote counts, like your vote matters and your vote counts. But also another huge thing that I want people to kind of take away, if you're like, I don't know if I really want to vote, like who really cares about it? We need you to care, because voting doesn't just end on, or voting doesn't isn't just let me vote for a presidential election or let me vote for a congressional election. Like when we tell people to vote down the ballot, essentially what we're saying is we need you to vote for your local election. So that means city councils, that means mayors, that means deputy commissioners, city clerks, sheriffs. And then because these are the people day to day when I step out of my door, like those are the people that I'm dealing with because they live in my county. I just have to abide by like my county's like laws, rules. And so you need to make sure, hey, I know who is doing this. So if there's specific things that you don't like, if there's a sales tax in your county that you don't like, if you don't like, oh, let's say they just built this random thing here, we don't want this here anymore. Vote about that, because that allows you to have your everyday power, and that's our power and our right as citizens when we live in these areas, and when whatever state that you live in, regardless, like have that power. You have that voting power to make sure that you vote local. And so I think people always are just like, oh, it's presidential, it doesn't matter. Start off on the local level and see what changes happen, and bring people with you to be like, oh, bring people with you to make sure, like, hey, come with me to go vote. Come with me. Let me make sure that you are educated on what's happening with voting and you know what's going on. So those are some really, really important things. But most importantly, please know that your vote counts. I promise you it does. Even if at times you're like, okay, I voted and then this was the outcome. You still voted, and you still allowed your voice to be heard on what is going on and what is happening.
I was going to say, definitely something I learned this year was about data, and just the more people we have show up for the same ideals and morals, I think that it will affect in the long run, even if we don't see it immediately. But it's super important that we all show up. And along with that, a lot of young voters were at the polls this year. So there is something that's happening really cool with this race. So what is the difference of 17-year-olds registering to vote right now?
Okay, so for my Georgians that are 17 and a half years old, if you know that if you're 17 and a half years old and you'll be 17 and a half before or on December 7th, make sure that you are going to register to vote. Down here, they already pinned it on what you can do. This is the website you can use, but also what you all need to do is, as long as you are turning 18, whether on December 14th through January 5th, you are eligible to go out and vote. So we want to make sure that this is your first time coming out the gate swinging, that, hey, I have a right to be here. This is, your first time voting. So that can be a really exciting moment for you, that you're able to go through this process and have your voice and have your vote be heard. We want to make sure that you all are counted. We want to make sure that you all are represented, because now you guys are becoming, you're graduating into this new level of adulthood, essentially. And so these are one of the perks of being an adult. You get to go out and you get to vote. And regardless of where you live in the state of Georgia, that is going to be your home. And you want to make sure that, hey, I like how my home is, and I want, this here, and I want to make sure that my family is protected, and I want to make sure that certain rights of mine are protected. So you need to go out and definitely vote. So again, for my 17 and a half year olds, make sure you all are registered to vote no later than Monday, December 7th. And then as early as December 14th, you're able to go out and exercise your right to vote.
Yes, I had a lot of people asking like what they could do if they're too young. So if you couldn't vote, but you can now, this is your time
Yes.
to shine. So I also want to end on a light note and just ask you, what is something you're really excited about, not right now, despite things being uncertain?
What am I excited about? Quality question. I'm probably really, really excited about Christmas. That is my like favorite holiday. ABC, or they're not called ABC anymore. What is it called? Like Freeform, I think. I I think it's called Freeform. But they're doing their 25 days of Christmas. We absolutely love that. I'm just happy. I'm excited. I'm in good health. I'm just very grateful. I'm grateful for what's going on. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to sit here and talk with you, girl. You feel me? That we can sit and we can do this and have a conversation. And you are allowing me to be exposed to so many people who probably never heard of Georgia Stand Up or didn't know what we were doing. So that is what I'm excited about.
Oh, yay. No, I'm super excited to have you on here. And I've been just looking at your glasses the entire time. I'm like, I love them. There's
I got them off of Zelu, Zeelool, and they're prescription. So shout out to Zelu. I think this pair with like my actual like prescribed lenses are like $40. So if you need some prescription lenses and don't want to pay full price, Zelu or Zini, quality.
amazing. I love that. So, this is our call to action part, and I just want everyone to know what they can do to just support Georgia Stand Up and everything you guys are doing.
So one thing that you can do that is super, super easy is you can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is the at, and then it's GA underscore stand up, which is one word. So again, GA underscore stand up. And then through just following us on Instagram, you're able to kind of see what we do. So you'll be able to see some behind the scenes of what is going on within Georgia Stand Up, what we're doing, whether we're canvassing, phone banking, text banking, and then also you'll be able to see all of our upcoming events that we have going on throughout this holiday season, and especially bringing us into the new year and for this upcoming runoff election. So that's really, really important. And of course, when you follow us, we want you to make sure that you are reposting some things that we have, just so some information that you think, oh, that's kind of cool, like I like that, then you can share that on your Instagram or your Twitter, Facebook, and you'll be able to expose that to the rest of your friends and family. Secondly, another really, really, really important thing that we need you all to do is to make a vote plan. And you're like, oh my God, what is a vote plan? So I'll tell you. A vote plan, like the way I kind of think of a vote plan is almost saying like how I'm planning a trip. So we all love to travel, and unfortunately this year we have not been able to travel how we want, but it's okay. We're gonna make up a little fake, vacation. So when we're traveling, we always have a destination in mind, like, oh, where are we gonna go? So for your vote plan, what is your destination? That means your polling location. So the really cool thing about when you vote early is you can go to any polling location within your county. So let's say you are from Coffee County. You can go to any polling location in Coffee County in the midst of early voting. So early voting goes from December 14th all the way up until New Year's Day, which is January 1st. But I really, really, really want to stress and urge for people to try to do early voting as soon as possible. So we want to see you out there December 14th, and then try to get your early voting done by December 30th, just so if anything happens with New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, some places might be closed. So when you have your destination of your voting location, you're definitely more than welcome to go on to the mvp.sos.ga.gov. So it's that site that is already pinned down here on the IG Live. But when you see your polling location on there, that means it's going to be your polling location for January 5th. That day only. That's the only place that you can go on January 5th. But if you want, you're more than welcome to go on to Google, type in your county's name, and then type in elections board, and then from that website you'll be able to see all the polling locations that they have. And if you don't feel comfortable doing in-person voting, then you're more than welcome to do an absentee ballot. So that's our destination. And then secondly, my ticket. We can't go anywhere. We can't get on a flight without a ticket. You feel me? So technically your ticket will serve as your registration status. So the really cool thing with the mvp.sos site, that allows you, if you've already registered to vote, you just go on there just to double check for peace of mind. Hey, I'm able to go vote, or it says, it should say registered. You're all set. If you have not had an opportunity to go on and vote, you're more than welcome to go in you can go on vote.org and you're able to register to vote via that site. And it allows you just put in like your state information, where you're at, and then you'll be registered to vote. So you have your ticket taken care of. What am I going to pack? What am I going to wear? How am I going to look? So for your packing, essentially during your vote plan, is make sure you bring some snacks with you, just in case lines are really long. Okay, it's all fun and games until you get hungry or until you get thirsty. So definitely make sure you have some water with you. Make sure you have just like some quick grab and go snacks. Maybe bring a backup phone charger. Or maybe at times you might want to just get a little seat, get like a little chair or something with you while you're standing in line. So that's something that's really important for you to pack. And then for our excursions, what are we going to do? What are we going to do on this trip? Are we going to have fun? Are we going to go zip lining? Are we going to the beach? What are we doing? So for your vote plan excursions, that is more of your education piece. So now that I have all of this information, now what am I voting on? What is the position in which I'm voting on, and what are the duties of this position? So that's something that's really, really important that we want people to understand. So like you and I mentioned earlier in the live, go on to the candidates' websites and see what they're talking about, see what their plans are, see, hey, how are they going to effectively make sure that how are we going to effectively make sure that they do what they say? So you want to make sure that you research what's going on. And then lastly, who am I bringing on the trip? Is this going to be a solo trip? Is it going to be a girls trip? Are we going to, who's coming with me? So that also means who you bringing with you to the polls, because it's really all fun and games when we're like, oh, okay, yes, go vote, 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 but bring people with you. And of course, we're going to still follow COVID guidelines. So make sure that if you are doing in-person voting and you are bringing people with you to the polls, one, go get a COVID test, please. Okay, it takes two minutes. You get your results back. Make sure that you are staying safe, especially now that it's getting colder here in Georgia. And you don't want cold symptoms like, oh, is this COVID? So you want to make sure that you are staying safe. You have a mask, you have gloves, you have hand sanitizer, any wipes or anything like that. But you're also bringing people with you to the polls. We also want to make sure that we are mobilizing, because now that you are educated, now that you are registered, now it's our time to mobilize. So we want to bring everybody with us that we possibly can, to come out to the polls. And there you have your vote plan. For number 3 that you all can help do is volunteer. Please, please, please volunteer. You're more than welcome on the Georgia Stand Up. It's georgiastandup.org, and it's Georgia spelled out. You can go and you can sign up to be an individual volunteer. For out-of-state folks, we probably really need help with like phone banking, text banking, anything of that nature. Or you can also help other grassroots organizations within Georgia. We want to make sure that this is a collaborative effort. It's not just going to fall on the hands of one organization. We want to make sure that we're highlighting all of our organizations. So definitely help them with phone banking, text banking. If you are in-state, if you're an in-state Georgian, or if you're in the local Atlanta, like metro area, feel free to help canvas and get the word out there for any of your communities, for any of your organizations that you're a part of, for any churches that you may attend. Let everybody know, hey, you guys, if you're in a meeting, do you mind if we just have a quick 5 minutes? I just want to make sure that everybody here is registered to vote. Or, if you have like family, siblings, anything like that, let them know you're registered to vote. And then lastly, please, please, please help donate. Anything is super, super helpful. But donating to these organizations like ours for Georgia Stand Up, or any other grassroots organization, like we mentioned earlier in the live, the donations that you all give to us, it allows us to pour right back into our community to make sure that they are well equipped for what's coming up next.
Yay! All right. Everyone, make sure you guys do all that. The voting plan especially, super duper important. And like everything she mentioned, Destiny, you were so amazing and so much fun.
Thank you.
And so informal. It was really great and really easy to follow. So I pray that everyone got really good tips on this live. And I just want to say, we have a lot to do to support Georgia Stand Up and all the Georgia-based organizations working to turn out voters and build a country that we know indeed is possible. So thank you so much for joining. Pop off before I close this off, and take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.